Welcome to Alien Eve. New sci-fi stories arrive every 4 hours. If you want these journeys to continue, your support means everything. For long listening sessions, check out the playlist and enjoy the universe.
The alarms hit before dawn, shattering the silence of the maintenance outpost and dragging Rion Hale out of a half-finished dream. Red lights pulsed across the ceiling, painting the narrow walls of his repair bay in flickering scarlet. He shoved on his boots, grabbed the first tool belt he could reach, and sprinted toward the docking corridor. Because alarms at this hour meant only one thing. Something had arrived that absolutely should not exist out here. The outer bay doors groaned open, venting cold air and metallic dust into the chamber. Rion braced for the usual sight of a scavenger freighter limping in on failing thrusters. But the ship that staggered into his bay was nothing like that. It wasn't even human. It shimmered. Even damaged, the vessel moved like something alive, sleek crystalline plates fractured in a dozen places, bioluminescent veins flickering weakly beneath the surface. It drifted in as if guided by instinct rather than engines, leaving a trail of glittering particles that dissolved in the stale outpost air. Rion swore under his breath. That's Vari design, elite class. What the hell is a ship like you doing in a backwater like this? The ship hit the deck with a soft, exhausted groan, as if exhaling its last breath. The airlock cycled, and she stepped out. At first, Rion thought the glow behind her was part of the ship, but no, it was her. Light traced faint patterns across her skin, subtle bioluminescent marks that pulsed like a heartbeat. Her long, sweeping ears framed a face both fierce and breathtaking, and even though she was covered in soot and dried coolant, she looked like something carved out of starlight. She was beautiful in a way Rion had no category for. And she was bleeding. Her breathing was shallow, uneven. She scanned the bay in sharp, rapid movements, like someone expecting an ambush at any second. When her eyes locked on him, he saw fear. Not the wild panic of a civilian, but the controlled, focused terror of someone who knew exactly how much danger she was in. "You're the mechanic." Her voice carried that strange harmonic undertone common to her species, though hers trembled with exhaustion. "Rion Hale," he said, stepping forward slowly. "And you're leaking half your life support fluid onto my floor. Sit down before you fall down." "I can't." She pressed a hand to her side, where a thin line of dark, shimmering blood seeped through torn fabric. "I only have minutes before they track me here." She hesitated. That hesitation told Rion more than any explanation would have. Right, someone dangerous, someone powerful. He holstered the questions and focused on her instead. "Look, I don't care who's after you. First rule of the frontier, if someone shows up half dead in your bay, you fix the ship and ask questions later. Now sit." She blinked as if surprised by his tone, but sank onto a tool crate with a shaky breath. Rion grabbed a sterilizer, gauze, and a plasmaseal patch. "Tell me if you're going to pass out. I don't feel like catching you." "I won't," but her voice was softer now, almost fragile. "Please work quickly." "I'm already working." He tore open the fabric at her side. Her skin was smooth and warm, faintly luminous, the glow dimming every few seconds like a failing star. The wound wasn't deep, but it was messy, shrapnel maybe, something sharp enough to break Vari armor. As he sealed the injury, she watched him with an intensity that made his pulse stumble. "You're calm," she murmured. "I'm a mechanic on a dead mining moon," he said. "This is the most exciting thing that's happened to me in 3 months." Despite everything, a tiny smile touched her lips. The patch hissed as it fused with her skin. Her glow steadied a little. "What's your name?" Rion asked, another hesitation, longer this time. "Lira," she said finally. It felt like a lie. Or maybe just incomplete, but he accepted it. "Okay, Lira, your ship looks like it flew through a starstorm and then lost a bar fight with gravity. I need to run diagnostics before it decides to explode." She stood, wobbling but determined. "I'm staying with you." He raised an eyebrow. "You planning to supervise me?" "I don't want to be alone." The admission slipped out so quietly he almost didn't hear it. Something warm tightened in his chest. "Then stay close," he said gently. "But don't touch anything that glows, that's a rule for both of us." Her shoulders relaxed by a fraction. They approached the ship together. Rion placed his hand on the fractured hull. It buzzed weakly beneath his palm, like a living creature in pain. "Lira, whatever happened to you wasn't an accident." "I was betrayed," she whispered, voice breaking on the edges. "My guards are dead. My escort's destroyed. I am not supposed to be alive." The glow along her skin dimmed again. Rion looked at her, really looked. The elegant posture, the regal poise beneath the exhaustion, the way she stood like someone accustomed to commanding entire rooms. "Lira," he said slowly, "you're not just any passenger, are you?" She didn't answer, didn't have to, because the air suddenly shifted, an energy pulse like distant thunder rolled through the station's sensors. A Hunter-class Vari warship had just entered orbit, and it was searching for her. Rion killed the overhead lights instantly. The bay dropped into shadow, leaving only the faint blue glow from Lira's markings to illuminate her tense silhouette. She froze, ears angling toward the ceiling as if listening to distant thunder only she could hear. "They found me," she whispered. Rion moved to the control console, fingers flying across manual override switches. "They're scanning for your ship's signature. If they lock onto it, this whole outpost becomes a crime scene." Lira steadied herself against a support beam, her breathing uneven. "I didn't expect them to track me this fast. Their range shouldn't." "Yeah, well, judging by your ship's condition, whoever did this wasn't exactly playing fair." He flicked another switch. The bay's external readings blinked out, replaced by a cascade of red warnings. Lira watched him work, her eyes narrowing with a mix of fear and baffled trust. "What are you doing?" "Hiding you," Rion said simply, "and making it look like this bay is offline for maintenance." He glanced at her. "That tends to happen a lot around here. Luckily for both of us, I'm very good at pretending things don't exist." She swallowed, her throat tightening. "You're helping me, even after hearing that a warship is hunting me. Someone walks into my bay bleeding and scared, I help them. That's just how I'm built." He shrugged lightly. "If that makes me stupid, well, that would not be the first time." Her gaze softened in a way that made his chest warm. "It makes you rare." The station shook again, this time more violently, as the warship locked onto orbital position. Rion saw the moment panic nearly overtook her. She pressed a hand to her side, then to her chest, as if steadying a pulse that didn't want to cooperate. "Sit," he ordered gently. "I can stand." "Yeah, but your legs disagree." He guided her toward a padded bench near the diagnostics console. She let him, though her pride visibly resisted it. When she sat, her glow dimmed to a tired, trembling hue. Rion knelt in front of her and lowered his voice. "Okay. I need you to tell me what kind of sensors they're using. I know enough about Vari tech to get myself arrested, but this is beyond anything I've seen." Lira swallowed hard. "High-frequency harmonic mapping." He blinked. "You mean the kind that reads energy resonance patterns through walls?" "Yes, fantastic," he muttered. "Perfect, love that for us." Her lips twitched, a ghost of a smile. "You're surprisingly calm about this." "Inside, I'm screaming," he said. "But I work better when I pretend I'm not." She watched him closely, and there was something tender in her gaze now, like she was memorizing him or maybe trying to decide if he was real. "Rion," she whispered. "Thank you. You didn't have to do any of this." He cleared his throat. "Let's save the gratitude for after. We're not about to be vaporized." She looked down, light brushing her cheek like a fading star. "I never expected kindness out here." "Then you've been visiting the wrong outposts." Her glow brightened faintly, warm, golden, but it flickered again as another pulse rattled the station walls. Rion stood and grabbed a cluster of sensor dampeners from a nearby crate. "All right, Lira, your ship's still warm. They're going to detect it unless I smother its resonance." He climbed under the hull. Lira followed with her eyes, gripping the bench to steady herself. "Tell me what to do." "You're injured." "I can still help." There was so much determination in her voice that he didn't argue. "Fine. Vari ships respond to harmonic tuning, right? I need you to match my dampeners. If you can project a low-frequency hum through the hull, you can confuse their scanners." She straightened, closing her eyes. The glow along her skin changed, deepening, softening, shifting into a slow, rhythmic pulse. A hum delicate and haunting filled the air. It resonated through the metal under Rion's hands. "Good," he said. "Hold that." Her voice trembled. "I can't sustain it long, not in my condition." "You only need to hold it for 60 seconds. Her glow flickered again. "Rion, they're landing." His heart slammed against his ribs. Great, perfect timing. He slid out from beneath the ship. Dust clung to his hair and shirt, but his expression remained steady. "Listen carefully," he said. "Outpost protocol means they'll start with the commercial bays first. That gives us maybe 5 minutes, maybe. And then they come here." "They will," he said. "So we need to make this ship look cold, dead, and abandoned." Lira stood, swaying only slightly. "I can help weaken the resonance, but I cannot hide myself. They will sense me." Rion met her eyes, those luminous, terrified eyes, and made a decision faster than breathing. Then I'll hide you myself. Her breath caught. Rion. No argument. If they find you, you're done. And probably me too. So give me 60 seconds. I'll figure something out. You don't understand who they're looking for, she whispered. If they find me here, you'll be executed. Well, he said, tightening the last dampener. That just means you're going to have to trust me to not screw this up. But why would you risk? Because you walked into my bay, he said firmly. Bleeding, scared, alone, and I'm not the kind of man who turns someone away in that condition. Her glowing eyes widened slightly. It wasn't just fear there now, it was something warmer, softer, something she didn't seem accustomed to feeling. A deep metallic clang echoed through the station. The warship had docked. Lira stepped closer, her voice barely audible. Rion, if they take me, they will destroy this outpost to cover their tracks. Then I guess we make sure they don't find you. Her breath trembled. He reached out, not touching her, just steadying the air between them. Lira, he said quietly, stay with me. Her glow pulsed once, golden and bright. I will, she whispered, and the first set of heavy armored footsteps entered the metal thud of armored boots echoed closer, steady and disciplined, the sound of soldiers who knew exactly what they were hunting. Rion grabbed Lira's wrist, gently but firmly. This way. He pulled her across the bay toward a tall stack of crates. To anyone else, it looked like spare parts, random cables, scraps of plating. But Rion pressed his hand to a seam in the metal, and a narrow, concealed panel slid open with a hiss. Lira blinked. A hidden compartment. Former owner smuggled contraband through here, Rion whispered. I kept the space because sometimes inspectors get dramatic ideas, and I get tired of explaining why my tools are older than the station itself. He gestured inside. Go. I can't hide while you stay out there alone, she whispered sharply. They'll sense my energy signature through the panel. Not if you shut it down. Her eyes widened. Rion, that could kill me. He froze. What? My glow, it's not decoration. It is a harmonic life field. Suppressing it drains my strength if I try to close it while injured. The footsteps reached the bay doors. Rion leaned close, his voice low, urgent. Lira. If you don't hide, they'll drag you out of here, and I won't be able to stop them. You know that. Her breath shook. Fear flickered through her glow like lightning under the skin. And if you get caught, she asked. Well, he whispered, then you'll have to come rescue me, seems fair. A faint, trembling smile curved her lips. It almost hurt him how beautiful it was, fragile, luminous, defiant. She touched the doorframe of the compartment and lowered her head. The golden light beneath her skin faded, dimmed, flickered, then slowly extinguished, leaving her looking pale, almost human, but still breathtaking. Inside, she whispered, voice weaker. He helped her step into the compartment, bracing her as her legs nearly gave out. When she settled, he brushed a hand against her cheek, almost instinctively, surprised at his own movement. Her skin was warm, trembling, the glow just a faint ember now. Stay quiet, he murmured. She reached for his wrist before he pulled away, her fingers were cold. Rion, don't let them see your fear. You're assuming I have any. Her lips parted in a soft, shaky breath, something between a smile and a warning. Then she released him, and the panel slid shut, sealing her in darkness. A second later, the bay doors boomed open. 3 Vari soldiers stepped inside, tall, armored, their ears ringed with rank markers that shimmered angrily under harsh lights. Their visors swept the room like predators scenting prey. Rion forced his pulse to slow. He leaned casually against the nearest tool rack, a wrench in one hand, the other wiping imaginary grease from his shirt. You boys lost? He asked lightly. The lead soldier didn't answer. His visor scanned Rion's face, then the scattered equipment, then the large vessel still cooling on the deck. This bay registered harmonic activity, the soldier said. His voice had no warmth. Identify the ship. Rion shrugged. Old survey vessel, took a beating in an asteroid cluster. Client didn't feel like sticking around. The soldier stepped closer. No human-built craft uses crystalline plating. Then they got creative, Rion said. Who am I to question fashion? The Vari soldier's visor flickered, analyzing the ship's resonance. This vessel is Vari in origin. Congratulations, Rion said dryly. Won a prize. The second soldier's head tilted. Energy traces indicate recent Vari presence. Yeah, well, Rion said, maybe one passed through. You know how it is out here, folks come and go. Did you see one? The soldier demanded. Can't say I did, I see a lot of things. Don't remember all of them. The lead soldier moved closer, towering over him. A fugitive of high importance has fled to this sector. She is dangerous. If she is here, you will tell us. I'd absolutely tell you, Rion said with a relaxed expression that did not match the hammering in his chest. If I had the slightest idea what you're talking about. A low hum built in the soldiers' armor as they activated deeper scans. The hum vibrated through the entire bay, cold, searching, hungry. Rion's heart slammed against his ribs. Lira, stay still. Stay alive. A sharp pulse of harmonic energy swept the room, washing over Rion's skin like static. The soldiers turned toward the ship, then toward the far wall, then finally toward the crate stack. Rion stepped into their path casually. Careful, those crates are unstable. You knock them over, I'll make you clean it up. The lead soldier stared at him, longer than necessary. Your irreverence is suspicious. Rion smiled. My entire personality is suspicious. The soldier took another step toward the crates. Rion moved again, blocking him. Hey, I said don't touch my stuff. You want to scan something? Scan me. I'm very interesting. Lots of unresolved emotional trauma, probably enough to confuse your instruments. Behind the visor, a pair of dark eyes narrowed. For a moment, the bay fell silent. Then, static crackled in the soldiers' earpieces. A voice spoke urgently in their language. The lead soldier stiffened, listening. After several seconds, he turned away. Another signature 3 bays over. We're moving. He gestured sharply, and all 3 soldiers filed out of the bay. Rion held his breath until their footsteps faded into the distance. Only then did he unlock the hidden panel. The door slid open. Lira collapsed forward into his arms before she could stop herself. Her glow was barely visible, just a faint shimmer at the edges of her skin. He caught her gently. Easy, easy, I've got you. Her fingers clutched his shirt as she drew in a ragged breath. I thought they would. I know, he said softly, but they didn't. She looked up at him, her face mere inches from his. A fragile, exhausted, stunning blend of vulnerability and strength. You risked everything, she whispered. Yeah, well, he said, I've always had terrible survival instincts. She let out a trembling, almost laugh. You don't know who I am? Helping me could destroy your life. Maybe. He brushed dust from her cheek with the back. For several long seconds, Rion didn't speak. The name hung between them like a suspended breath, Lysithea. Not a passenger, not a fugitive, not even a noble. Heir to the Vari harmonic throne. The most powerful bloodline in their sector, and she was leaning against him, barely able to stand. Rion exhaled slowly. Well, he said at last, that explains the warship. Her glow dimmed with exhaustion. Rion, I'm sorry for deceiving you. You don't have to apologize, he said. You showed up half dead. I wasn't exactly expecting a full biography. She closed her eyes briefly, as if even speaking cost her strength. If they find me, the Empire will collapse into civil war. The factions who tried to kill me will seize power. Millions could die. He steadied her by the shoulders, guiding her away from the open panel. Then we're going to make damn sure they don't find you. She stared at him, really stared at him, as if trying to understand a creature she had only read about in theory. Your species, she whispered, never ceases to surprise me. And you're still bleeding on my floor, he replied softly. Sit before you fall. She allowed him to lower her onto a crate, her pulse flickering in dim gold patterns across her skin. Her glow was faint and uneven, like a lantern struggling to stay lit. Lysithea, I need to treat your injury properly before it worsens. Her head dropped. You shouldn't even say my name aloud. Harmonic signatures react to identity resonance. He gently took her chin, lifting it so she met his gaze. Then I'll call you Lira for now, but you're not collapsing on me over some name. Something in her expression softened further, trust or gratitude or something deeper she wasn't ready to acknowledge yet. I can help, she murmured, but I need a harmonic anchor. Rion blinked. A what? She raised a trembling hand to touch his chest, just over his sternum, her fingers barely grazing the fabric of his shirt. Your voice, your steadiness, your presence. Her breath shook. Vari physiology stabilizes when grounded by another mind. If you stay close, I can hold my resonance. Rion's throat tightened. Lira, you don't have to ask, I'm right here. Her eyes fluttered shut. Good. He worked quickly, patching the reopened wound, cleaning away crystalline blood, steadying her when her body trembled from suppressing her glow. She clung to his sleeve without realizing it, fingers curling into the fabric each time pain spiked. When he finished sealing the wound, she exhaled shakily. If the soldiers return and detect even a flicker. I know, he said. So we keep your glow low until your body recovers. That could take hours. Then I guess we're staying right here. She opened her eyes, gold irises shimmering faintly. You risk too much. Rion sat beside her, shoulder almost touching hers. Maybe, but from where I'm sitting, you're worth it. Her breath caught in her throat. Before she could answer, the station trembled again. Another pulse of energy rippled through the floor, a deeper, more focused scan. Lira tensed. They're sweeping individual bays now. Rion's jaw tightened. Then we need to be ready. He rose to his feet and moved to a set of control panels, flipping open a hidden access port. Wires and modules spilled out like a gutted machine. What are you doing? She whispered. Setting up a cascade loop, he said. Fake harmonic echoes. When they scan this bay, they'll think the signature's coming from the waste vents. That could trigger an alarm. Yep, and alarms draw attention. Yep, and attention. Yep, Rion repeated, working on it. Her lips curved faintly despite the fear twisting through her. Rion Hale, you are either very brave or absolutely reckless. It's a flexible skill set. The next energy pulse hit harder. Lira winced, pressing her hand to her side. Her glow flickered dangerously. Rion immediately returned to her, kneeling in front of her, taking both her hands in his. Look at me, he said quietly. She lifted her gaze. Breathe with me. Her chest rose, shaky, uneven, but she matched his rhythm. The glow steadied, trembling between gold and dim white. The footsteps returned, closer this time, heavier, more deliberate, multiple squads. They're sweeping sectors one by one, she whispered. Then they're about to sweep the wrong one, Rion said. He reached up and brushed a stray lock of hair from her cheek, the touch gentle, instinctive. Her breath hitched again, not from pain this time, but something softer. Lira, he murmured, I've got you, I'm not letting them take you. Her fingers curled around his, trembling. Why? You've known me less than a day. Because I know enough, he said. I know you're scared, I know you're fighting something huge, I know you're hurt, and I know I won't stand by and watch someone take you. Her glow warmed faintly, spreading like dawn through her skin. A shadow crossed the bay window. Rion stood smoothly, pulling her up with him. She leaned into him to stay balanced, her hands gripping his shoulders. Outside, armored silhouettes moved with cold precision. We need to move, she whispered. Now. Where? Somewhere with shielding. Somewhere your bay scanners won't betray. Rion's expression sharpened. There is one place. She swallowed. Is it safe? No, the corridor swallowed them in darkness the moment the panels sealed behind them, cutting off the thunder of soldiers bursting into the bay. Rion kept one arm around Lira's waist, the other braced against the curved metal wall as he guided her through the narrow maintenance passage. Emergency lights flickered weakly overhead, thin red pulses that painted her pale, dimmed glow in wavering shadows. She stumbled once, gripping his shirt with trembling fingers. Stay with me, he whispered. I am, she breathed, leaning into him. Just conserve your voice. My body anchors better when your resonance is steady. Then you're getting non-stop resonance until we're safe. A faint, exhausted smile touched her lips. They moved deeper into the passage. Behind them, muffled voices echoed through the primary bay metal boots, scanners activating, harmonic sweeps sharpening like knives. Rion quickened his pace. We're heading to sub-level 4, he murmured. Smuggler tunnels. The station pretends they don't exist. Lira frowned weakly. If they sweep the outpost, won't they scan those tunnels as well? Not these, Rion said. They're shielded, old-tech human, not Vari. Rough, ugly, unreliable, and exactly the kind of system your people overlook, because it isn't elegant enough to be dangerous. That sounds, she whispered, like the single most human sentence I've ever heard. They reached the vertical shaft. Rion pried open the ladder access and helped her step onto the first rung. She hissed quietly in pain as her injured side brushed the metal. Easy, he said, steadying her from behind. I've got you. She leaned back against his chest for a single, breathless moment, seeking stability, warmth, courage. Her glow softened, faint threads of gold shimmering beneath her skin. Rion, she murmured, sensing his worry. If they capture me, you must say you didn't know who I was. You must survive. The Empire needs witnesses. The truth must spread. Not happening, he said. If you go down, I go down with you. She turned her head slightly, her cheek brushing his shoulder. Don't say things like that. Why? Because I don't know how to hear them. Her voice cracked with quiet honesty. He didn't answer. He just held her steady as they climbed. Halfway down the shaft, the outpost trembled violently. A blast wave rattled the metal walls and dust rained from the ceiling. Lira looked up sharply. They're firing on the station. They wouldn't dare. Rion, to cover their search, they will. They'll mask it as structural failure or reactor instability. My enemies do not care about human casualties. His jaw tightened, then we moved faster. They descended the remaining rungs and slipped into the shadowed tunnel. The ceiling arched low, pipes and conduits threading above like tangled veins. The air smelled of rust and cold metal, abandoned, forgotten, safe. Rion guided her toward a small alcove with a half-functioning terminal and a supply bench. "This is it," he said. "They won't find you here." Lira sagged against the wall, sliding down until she sat on the floor. Her glow pulsed weakly. "My resonance, it's breaking. I can't suppress it much longer." He knelt in front of her, taking her hands gently, then stopped suppressing it. Her eyes widened. "If I release it, they'll scan it instantly. Not if I shield you. You can't shield a Vari harmonic surge," she whispered. "It would kill you. Maybe or maybe it won't, but I'm not letting you burn yourself out trying to hide." Her fingers trembled. "Rion, you don't understand what happens if my glow collapses. Vari biology is tied to harmonic stability. If the field fails, my heart will stop." His breath caught. "You mean?" Yes, her voice was fragile as glass. "I will die." He swallowed hard, leaning closer. "Then listen to me. Let it go, let your body breathe. You won't have to fight it alone." She shook her head weakly. "Humans can't withstand our resonance." Rion cupped her face with both hands. Her skin was warm, fragile, fading. "I'm not asking to withstand it," he murmured. "I'm asking you to trust me." Her breath hitched. Slowly, painfully, she nodded. He held her tightly, steadying her as the first wave of resonance trembled through her skin. The gold light began to leak out, little flickers, trembling threads of luminescence. Then suddenly, it surged. A burst of warm, radiant glow pulsed from her body, washing over Rion like a tide. For a moment his vision blurred, his heartbeat stuttering. But he didn't let go. The tunnel around them lit up with her light, soft gold melting into warm white. Lira gasped, fingers gripping the front of his shirt. "Rion, your heart." "I'm fine," he whispered. "I'm right here." The glow intensified, enveloping them both. But instead of burning him, it melded with the beat of his pulse, sinking, harmonizing, smoothing into something gentle. Lira sagged forward, forehead resting against his collarbone as the last wave of resonance flowed out. Her breathing steadied. Her glow settled, warm, even alive. "Rion," she whispered, voice full of disbelief. "You shouldn't have survived that." He exhaled shakily, brushing a hand along her back. "Story of my life." "You anchored me," she said softly. "You stabilized my resonance. Humans shouldn't be able to. Guess I'm not a typical human." She lifted her head slowly, her face inches from his. Her gold irises shimmered with something new, something raw and unguarded. "You saved my life," she breathed. "For the second time," he said. Her lips parted, trembling as though she wanted to say more, but the tunnel suddenly shook again. Harsh metallic echoes thundered overhead. Lira's glow dimmed in instinctive fear. "They're breaching the lower levels." Rion stood sharply, pulling her to her. The reactor chamber of outpost Kalos was never meant for visitors. It was a ring of humming machinery around a pulsing core, thick shielding layered like armor plates over an artificial heart. The air was warmer here, dry and metallic. The glow from the containment field bathed everything in pale blue. Rion closed the access hatch behind them and engaged every manual lock he could find. "This place," he said, "is the closest thing this station has to a bunker." Lira stood beside him, her own glow blending with the reactor light. Her face looked less fragile now, more focused. The surge in the tunnel had restored some of her strength. "How long will the shielding hold against a full harmonic sweep?" she asked. "Long enough," Rion said. "Maybe not forever, but long enough for us to make a difference." She studied him, ears tilting in quiet curiosity. "You keep saying that. Make a difference. Do you always assume you can?" "No," he said, "but I try like hell anyway." Her lips curved faintly, very human. He moved to a side console, a cramped interface wired directly into the reactor control grid. The screen flickered with outdated software, but the core readings were clear. "Okay," Rion muttered. "They've locked the station's main channels. They're broadcasting a falsified emergency, reactor instability, all personnel evacuate." "To make sure no one sees what they're actually doing," Lira said quietly. "Anyone who stays behind becomes acceptable collateral." Rion's jaw tightened. "Not if we beat them to the broadcast." He tapped into the sublayer network, bypassing standard security, digging into the maintenance channels nobody cared about. Lira watched his fingers move with growing surprise. "You do not act like a simple mechanic," she observed. "Corporate tried to recruit me years ago," he said, eyes on the screen. "Turns out when you're too good at fixing things, people want to own you. And you refused." "Yeah, came out here instead." He glanced at her. "Didn't expect to run tech support for a royal succession crisis, but life gets weird." Her eyes softened. "You choose your own path even when it is dangerous." "Seems I'm doing that again," he said, "with you." She looked away, glow warming at the edges. "I am glad you are." Outside, the faint thunder of distant explosions rolled through the walls. Lira stiffened. "They're targeting key systems," she whispered. "They'll cripple the outpost if they don't find me soon." "Then we give them a better target," Rion said. He pulled up the warship's communication grid, tracing encrypted channels until he found one routed through the station. "Lira, can your voice override a harmonic lock?" She blinked. "If the system is tied to imperial frequencies, yes. Why?" "Because I can't crack their encryption," he said. "But you can." Realization dawned in her eyes. "You want to send a broadcast? Galaxy-wide if we can manage it," Rion said. "At least to nearby relays. You said if your enemies win, millions die, so we don't let them win quietly." "But if I reveal myself," she said slowly, "they will know exactly where I am." "Yes," he replied. "But by then, everyone else will too. And it's a lot harder to make a queen vanish when the whole sector just watched her speak." She stared at him for a long moment. "That," she said softly, "is either brilliant or insane." Like I said, he gestured to the console, flexible skill set. A small, incredulous laugh escaped her lips. She stepped closer to the panel, her glow focusing, sharpening. "Patch me in," she said. Rion worked quickly, linking the outpost's emergency beacon to the warship's relay node. It resisted him, snarling with encrypted blocks, but Lira laid her hand on the metal casing and hummed, a low, resonant tone that made the entire console tremble. Lines of code flickered, then fell into sync. "They built their system around my bloodline," she murmured. "They never expected me to use it against them." "Ready?" he asked. She drew a deep breath. "No, but do it anyway." He hit the final command. The chamber lights dimmed as power rerouted through the relay. A soft chime sounded, cold and clear. "Channel open," Rion said. "You're live." Lira stepped forward, shoulders straightening, gaze steady. For a heartbeat, she was just Lira, the exhausted woman who had stumbled bleeding into his bay. Then she was Lysithea. Her glow flared, not uncontrolled but bright and sure, the natural light of someone born to command. "Citizens of the Vari Empire," she said, voice ringing with harmonic power that vibrated through the reactor walls. "This is Lysithea Karis, rightful heir to the harmonic throne. I speak from Outpost Kalos, where elements within our own military have attempted to end my life and silence the truth." Rion watched her, stunned all over again, not by her title but by the way she held herself. "No fear now, only fire. 17 days ago," she continued, "my escort fleet was destroyed under the orders of rogue commanders seeking to seize control of our empire. Tonight they have pursued me into human space, willing to sacrifice innocent lives to erase their failure." Her glow brightened, golden light fusing with the blue of the reactor core. "I am alive, I am witness, and I will not be silent." Across the panel, alerts flared, channels splitting, signals bouncing. The warship was trying to cut her off. Rion's hands danced over the controls, reinforcing the connection, rerouting power, buying her every second he could. "You who serve with honor," Lysithea declared, "I call you to stand against this corruption. You who believe our strength lies in harmony, not fear, remember your oaths. Remember who we are." Warning indicators flashed red. The warship had locked onto the signal's origin. "They're targeting us," Rion muttered. "Hold it," she said. He did. "For those beyond the Empire," she went on, her eyes flicking once toward him, "know this. A human mechanic risked his life to shelter me when my own people turned on me. He asked for nothing. He saw not a title but a person in need." Rion's throat closed. "In the days to come," Lysithea said, her voice softening, "when you hear the stories they tell, remember mine. Remember that one human on a forgotten moon chose compassion over fear, and that choice may yet save us all." The warship's override hit like a hammer. The channel shuddered, splintered, broke. The broadcast cut. Silence rushed in to fill its place. For a few seconds, neither of them moved. Then Rion exhaled slowly. "Well." That's going to annoy a lot of very powerful people. Lysithea turned toward him. Her glow had dimmed slightly, but in her eyes there was something new, calm, fierce, unshakable. They will come, she said quietly. Loyalists, allies. The ones who heard me. And the warship? Rion asked. She tilted her head, listening to harmonics he couldn't hear. Retreating, she murmured. If they attack now, it will look like retaliation. My enemies prefer shadows. Rion sagged against the console. So we survived another hour. A small smile tugged at her lips. Thanks to you. He shrugged, though his heart was still racing. You did most of the talking. You did more than that, she said, stepping closer. You gave them a reason to listen. He blinked. I just patched wires. You were the story, she said simply. The proof. Empires move slow, Rion, but hearts move faster when they see something real. Her glow softened as she studied him. The tension in the chamber eased just a little. You're shaking, she whispered. Adrenaline, he said, and maybe a little delayed terror. She reached out and took his hand. You don't have to pretend with me. The warmth of her fingers slid into his palm. His chest tightened. I'm not great at pretending, he admitted. I just keep doing things that scare me and then deal with it later. That, she murmured, is courage. They stood like that for a moment, two silhouettes in the reactor's glow. The hum of energy wrapped around them like a steady heartbeat. Finally, Rion found his voice. So what happens now? Now, Lysithea said, I wait for the allies that broadcast awakens, and you return to your life. He huffed quietly. You really think I can go back to tuning engines and arguing with broken compressors after this? A faint sadness touched her eyes. You want to stay in the Empire? No, he said. I want to know you survived. Her breath stalled. I want to know you take back what they tried to steal from you, he continued. I want to know all this risk wasn't for nothing, and I want, he stopped, then laughed softly. I don't even know what I want, that's the problem. She squeezed his hand gently. I know what I want. His heart skipped. Yeah. I want to live, she said simply. Not just exist as a symbol. And for the first time in a very long time, standing in this old, humming reactor with a human who refuses to abandon me. I feel like that might be possible. He swallowed. That sounds like a good start. Rion Hale, she whispered. When this is over, when the Empire is stable, I would ask you something without politics listening. He smiled. I think I'd like that. A chime from the console broke the moment. Incoming signal, not hostile, not imperial. Lysithea listened, her eyes widening. It's begun, she murmured. Loyal fleets are moving, messages spreading, commanders refusing orders to fire. They heard us. Rion leaned back, exhaustion finally crashing in. So we didn't just survive, we actually changed something. Yes, she said, we did. They stood side by side, watching the reactor pulse as new signals lit the console. Future paths, shifting lines of power, a war they had just nudged away from the edge. Rion, she said softly, yeah. Thank you for helping a stranger, for protecting a fugitive, for seeing me when I was just Lira. He looked at her, really looked at her, the glow, the tired eyes, the quiet steel. You're still Lira, he said, and Lysithea.